In this video, we're going to look at some of the common mistakes business analysts make and how you can avoid them. Let's get right into it. My name is Olumide, and if you've not subscribed to this channel, do so right away. Click on the subscribe button, turn on notifications, leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know that you're getting value from this. And don't forget that I offer business analysis courses via businessanalysiscoach.com. Okay, getting straight into this. What are some of the mistakes that new business analysts make and how can you avoid them? The first one that we're going to talk about is jumping into solutions too quickly. You see, this is something that even experienced business analysts do. There's a tendency to look at a problem and immediately begin to think about the possible solutions. So just by knowing what the problem is or what the problem seems to be, ideas are coming to you and you're beginning to think about, let's do this and do that, and this is how we're going to solve the problem. But what you need to do is to take a pause, because you need to first understand the problem thoroughly. And many times the problem is not what it appears to be. You need to understand the problem thoroughly before you begin to brainstorm solutions. Don't just say, we need a new system. Rather, ask, what is not working with the current system? You should use techniques like root cause analysis, where you dig deeper until you find out what the real problem is. You can also use context diagrams or process maps to fully understand the problem before you then start proposing anything. It is very important to note that the job of a business analyst is to understand. You are not the automatic fixer of the problems. Your job is to first understand what they are. The second error that we're going to talk about is poor stakeholder engagement. This often happens because you've not identified all the stakeholders that are relevant to a project. And that is what you need to do from the start. You need to know who the important stakeholders are. To do this, you should create a stakeholder matrix. You should also ensure to communicate with each and every of the stakeholders based on your communication plan. And this should take place throughout the project, not just at the inception, not just at the kickoff. You should also discuss documents with the relevant stakeholders. You should make sure that your assumptions are documented. Make sure that things are signed off. Don't just make assumptions. Make sure that everything is backed up in writing. That is very important. Stakeholders hate surprises. Make sure you keep them informed. Make sure you're talking to all the departments you need to talk to, not just one department. You're talking to all the stakeholders that you need to carry along. And the third mistake that we're going to be talking about is vague or incomplete requirements. So sometimes BAs come up with requirements that are vague. For example, imagine saying the system should be user-friendly. In theory, that makes sense, but in practical terms, that's very vague. What exactly do you mean by user-friendly? So you should always make sure that your requirements are specific, they are measurable, they are testable. You should make sure that you include acceptance criteria for your user stories, or you make sure that your requirements are smart. And you should always review your requirements with the relevant stakeholders to ensure that they are clear enough and that they capture what those stakeholders intended. Here is a tip for you. If a developer cannot build it and a tester cannot test it, then that requirement is not good enough. Another mistake that many BAs, especially new ones, make is not having enough traceability. Oftentimes, they're relying too much on verbal communication, and so their requirements are not traceable. If your documentation is poor, you're going to lose track of changes, and that can spell trouble for you. To solve that, you should use a requirements log or a traceability matrix. You should also have document versions, so create versions based on the changes that you're making. And a relevant tip to that is that whenever you have meetings, ensure to summarize those meetings in writing and send to the different stakeholders that attended. Let them know what you took out of the meeting. So use the relevant tools for this: Jira, Confluence, Excel, whatever tools would help you to document properly and to version properly. Ensure that you're using them appropriately. And yet another mistake is ignoring the business process. A lot of BAs focus only on building software, but then they're not paying attention to the processes. They're not paying attention to how the business actually works. To avoid this problem, you should always map the as is and the to be. So always have the as is, the current state, and the to be, the target state. Secondly, you should always visualize your workflows. You can use BPMN, you can use swim lane diagrams, but make sure that you visualize your workflows. And when you're talking to operational staff, ask them for how things actually happen. Not how things are supposed to happen, but how things actually happen. That way, you would have a better picture of the current state. You should always remember that business analysis is about systems, and systems go beyond software. Systems are also about processes. Another mistake that many new BAs make is overcomplicating things. So they think that as a business analyst, you must have elaborate documentation. So they want a 20-page BRD for a very simple project and stuff like that. It's not necessary. You don't have to turn everything to jargon. Okay? Make the project as simple as possible. Keep it fit for purpose. And also focus on clarity, not complexity, not jargon, not grammar. And then you should tailor your techniques to the project scale and the audience. Remember that if your stakeholders cannot understand what you're trying to communicate to them, then you're not doing your job well as a business analyst. So it's not so much about the terminologies, it's more about getting the message across. Yet another mistake that many new business analysts make is not validating or testing their requirements. They assume that if the stakeholders approved of the requirements, that means the requirements are okay. But no, you must walk through the requirements with end users. You must use prototypes or wireframes for visual validation. And you should collaborate closely with QA, quality assurance, to align test cases with requirements. Please note that validation is your insurance against rework. If you don't validate, you might have to do it all over again. Let us consider one more, and that is ignoring the big picture. So sometimes you're lost in the little details and in all the steps such that you lose sight of the goals of the business, the big picture, what the business is really trying to do. And that is why you should always link the requirements to the business objectives or the KPIs, the key performance indicators. You can have a simple traceability map to ensure that there is that vertical traceability from the business goal to the requirement to the solution component. A good BA will connect every requirement to business value. In wrapping this up, let me say that every BA makes mistakes, even the very good ones. But the best ones learn fast and adapt quickly. If you'd like to learn more, I've got courses that you can take. Head over to businessanalysiscoach.com and ensure that you've subscribed to this channel. Ensure that you've left a like and a comment. I look forward to seeing you in my next video.